And now your host, Bill Bunkley.
Okay, let's just get right back into this afternoon because we've got a lot of candidates to weigh in over the next few days. By the way, remember that I have made some recommendations to you at Bayward.com. Go on the Drivetime page. You can print that out. You can email it to as many people you want to email it to. Whatever you want to do with it, get it out there if you want some social conservative picks. And one of my picks this afternoon is, this one's real important for me because this is where I live. This is House Seat District 47, and James Grant is before me this afternoon. And a lot of history in this seat, but James Grant looks like, I don't want to say you're a shoo-in because we want everybody to get out there and vote, but you've been working hard for a lot of days and a lot of nights. 7 days left. What is it like being a first-time candidate, knowing that the end is in sight?
Somewhat stressful.
Hold on just a second. We got that set up there? Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's exciting. I mean, we've put in a whole lot of work. This campaign set out, almost a year ago to be the hardest working campaign in Florida politics. And we haven't always been perfect, but we've run as hard of a campaign as we have, as we've been able to. And I think that's the feeling of pride we have, is that we've laid it out there and we've put our message out there and saying, hey, Florida has an unemployment rate approaching 12.5%, depending on the day, and the stakes are that high, and that's why we're running this hard. And so it's exciting. Well,
that indicates jobs. Now, as you're going about the community, and unlike other times, District 47 is in the suburbs, and normally you don't think about homelessness. You don't think about people being displaced, but we know by talking to Metropolitan Ministry, there is hurt all over the place. And so when you're seeing people in your district unemployed and possibly losing their homes, and we talk about unemployment and jobs, is that the number one thing you find yourself basically engaged with as you're out and about in conversations?
There's no doubt. Something like 77% of businesses in Hillsborough County are small businesses, 10 employees or less. A lot of those folks reside in District 47, Northwest Hillsborough County. We're all being forced to cut back. We're all being forced to live on a different level of income because of what we're seeing with government bureaucracy and red tape. So I don't think it's any different anywhere in the state. Jobs is far and away the number one issue right now in the state of Florida, because it affects so much from revenue that we get to how we treat that revenue and where we appropriate it.
When you look at the state of Florida, bellwether state, last night we had a debate nationwide, CNN, between Ms. Sink and Mr. Scott. All eyes are on Florida, and of course the Florida legislature is going to be playing an important role in that. Not only are people losing their jobs, when people lose jobs, that means revenue is not collected in the state of Florida. And so I've kind of been watching this whole thing. Now we got another big payday with a lot more money on behalf of our kids' debt with the new bullet train sort of funding coming from the sky, But there could be some serious shortfalls during your first term as a state legislator. That's not going to be easy rowing. Give me an idea on how you are thinking about being on top and innovative to be making a contribution to your colleagues in Tallahassee.
I think there's a couple things, Bill, and you're absolutely right that I've joked with people on the campaign trail when they ask how do we know you don't want to be a career politician, and I've kind of half tongue-in-cheek told them that if I ever want to have a political career, I'm probably going to Tallahassee at the worst time in our state's history, because we're going to see a budget shortfall unlike we've ever seen. We're going to have to make tougher decisions than have ever been made, and there's going to be people that are not happy about it. I think it comes really from two places, Bill. One is really addressing the way we view tax and revenue in our society. I'm a big believer that we can increase tax revenues while lowering the taxable burden on property owners, businesses, and families. But it comes from making tough decisions, getting away from a property tax, moving towards a consumption tax. But two is looking at how we appropriate the revenues we do have. I think we've got agencies and government bureaucracies that are accustomed to saying, well, hey, we need this much more money, or we need this much more money. And as the legislature, I think it's incumbent on us to say, well, we're going to go on a year-by-year zero-based budgeting and justify to me why we're giving you what we gave you last year. Because the fact that you needed it last year, and you could justify to me and to my colleagues why you needed it last year, doesn't mean that it stays in perpetuity and that you're somehow going to get accustomed to that appropriation looking for more. So it shifts the way we, one, collect revenue, and two, the way we treat revenue, to say it's not in perpetuity, and it's going to be on an annual basis to say, justify your existence and justify these appropriations going to you, and we're going to have to make some cuts where they aren't.
Let me ask you this. It seems that every election cycle gets worse. What's going on, what people say, what people do. And more and more men and women of faith seem to be heading for the aisles because they don't want anything to do with it. Now, how do you approach your faith, and how do you approach how you're going to move forward in an environment? Of course, you're trained as an attorney, and I happen to know you also were very skilled and won awards at Stetson Law School for debating, so you're very quick on your feet, very intelligent. But at the same time, tell us, especially in District 47, because voters in 47, the faith issues are very important. Tell us a little bit about how important those are going to be and how they'll affect how you'll be making your decisions moving forward. I
think the tie-in, Bill, of what you talk about with faith and education or background or skills, I don't think it can be understated. I think first and foremost is approaching the world with a biblical worldview, and I know we hear that talked about over and over and over, and I think it's incumbent on us as Christians or people of faith or moral values, however somebody subscribes, to say, hey, I'm not necessarily saying that the 10 Commandments ought to be in the Constitution, but I am saying that if we all govern ourselves accordingly, and if we all follow these principles, that society kind of takes care of itself. And second is the intellectual credibility. I think sometimes we can, as Christians, fall short, as we believe we are by nature. But I think we can fall short in the area of saying, hey, what's good for me is not good for them, or vice versa. And I think we have to have the intellectual credibility. I mean, one of the questions I get asked all the time is, how do you speak of individual liberties and government staying out, but yet you're so upfront on the pro-life issue. And I've said over and over and over, it's not a matter of government interfering with a woman's choice. It's government prohibiting that woman from interfering with life. And I think that's where some of the skills and coming from the legal background to say, hey, how are we framing this argument? Because if we let the media, if we let the left always frame the argument, healthcare is another example. I mean, in the presidential election, it was shaped as, the left wants health care for everybody, and they're these super hospitable people that just want to take care of everybody. And on the right, we're just saying we want health care for the wealthy, and that wasn't the issue at all. The issue is we all want affordable, accessible health care and the best health care that the globe sees. But it's a matter of how we get there. And if we let them frame the argument that we only want it for the right, we lose. But if we frame the argument as to, we believe in the right to life, or we believe in affordable, accessible healthcare being in the marketplace, it's how do we get there? Do we get there through the private sector, or do we get there through government mandates? And I personally subscribe to the free market, supply-side economics school of things that says government get out.
You listen to the voice of James Grant. He is a candidate for the Florida House of Representatives, District 47, Northwest Hillsborough County. Happens to be the real estate where my home is lying this afternoon, so this is very important to me. One last question before we let you go, James, and that is, once you get, first of all, I think you're going to be elected. And that doesn't mean I want anyone to go out there. Well, I'm just telling you, I think you're going to be elected, but people know where I stand. A Christian that doesn't go out and vote, I don't believe you're fulfilling what Christ would have you to do, because I think you have Christian responsibility under rendering under Caesar what is Caesar. At this point, it's a representative government. You vote the representatives. So you need to go out and vote. And I'm recommending James Grant. And that's the other reason why I think you're going to win, obviously, because I think that has a lot to do with it.
Self-fulfilling, right?
But let's talk about real quick. We've got about a minute left. Let's talk about once you're elected. And the important thing is you are a citizen legislator. You're going to be working in your practice and also representing folks. How do you plan on connecting with all of these volunteers, all of these people who have been so important to you in your campaigning? You'll see what those numbers are come next Tuesday or Wednesday morning early. How are you going to communicate with those folks to be their representative in Tallahassee?
I think, we're kind of taking a different approach on a couple things. I said, Bill, when I got in this race, that I believe the first job description of a representative is to listen, because by definition, a representative is up there representing other people, and I can't do that if I'm not listening, if I'm not communicating. I think what we've established online through our Facebook page, you can find me at James Grant for State Representative, and through the website, jamesgrant2010.com. We've worked tirelessly to build an online medium of communication that is certainly a huge asset in the campaign and helping us get elected. But once I'm in Tallahassee, the ability to communicate directly and to take questions. I regularly answer emails. You can email me at jamesgrant2010.com. It's James at jamesgrant2010.com. But I think, Bill, it just comes back to an attitude of our team. And if I can, Bill, to bounce back to what you were saying about Christians voting, I think you're absolutely right, but I'd go a step further. We as Christians and people of principle have the ability to affect every single election. If our people will be aware, if our people will do their homework, if our people will learn more about their candidates through websites and Google and all the different ways we can find out, we've got more information than we've ever had. If we stay engaged, if we take just a few hours to volunteer with different campaigns, we never have to worry about facing the ramifications of what happened in 2008. We never have to worry about 2 more justices cementing for another generation the liberal bloc on the Supreme Court and the policy that comes. It's a matter of being on the front end and being proactive instead of reactive. And if we will stay engaged, we never come off of an 08 the way we did.
All right, quick question: which is the closest early polling site to District 47 right now?
You've got 2. You got Upper Tampa Bay Library up in the West Chase area, and you've got Jimmy B. Keel right off of Dale Mabry and Beers.
All right, those are your two. Those are your 2 connections. And by the way, early voting is the way to go. Now, I haven't gotten over there yet. I want to get it done. I don't want to be there Tuesday, and besides, I don't want the Lord to take me home before I have a chance to vote for some of these candidates, and that's why you should be out too. James Grant, your website, real quick, on how folks can get in touch with you. Because, by the way, he and all the candidates you hear on this program, they need help on Election Day. They need you standing on street corners with signs. They need you at polling places standing on signs. Need to be yelling wherever you're going. So let me just say, if folks want to come out and help you on Election Day, how do they get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with us at jamesgrant2010.com, on Facebook, Twitter, jamesgrantfl. We do need your help. The beauty of being a Republican is we don't have to pay for volunteers, but we can use all the help we can get. So please get in touch with us if you're interested in helping. We look forward to having your support.
Hooah! That was a little zinger in there toward the end. James Grant, House Seat District 47, one of my recommended candidates. Make sure you get out there and vote because he needs to be in the legislature. James, thanks for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you, Bill.
Go get him, my friend.